now. So here we go. Welcome everyone to what we're going to talk about today is first we're going to have a panel, primarily a question and answer of the Alameda County Department of Environmental Health. Our host today is Richard Lipship, and the panel guests are Raju Matthew and Wendy Wang. We have a very special guest as well, who we will hear from after the panel discussion, our mayor, Mr. Alan Nagy, and then there will also be a short briefing on the e-gift card program. We will then finish up with a little bit of info on the next few webinars that are going to be upcoming in the Chamber of Commerce webinar series. So at this point, I'd like to hand it over to Richard. Take it away, sir. And just say next when you want the next slide.
All right. Thank you, Zahir. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all your kind words. And thank you very much to Raju and Wendy for being here to help bring some clarity to these important matters of food safety. I know that both Wendy and Raju, you both have some opening information for us to get started. You got a lot of time for questions, and that's great. But Wendy and Raju, I want to ask, because this is something new to me, and I bet to a lot of the people attending this meeting, I've never been invited to a meeting where we can speak to health inspectors and ask questions. I think normally when the food industry, we're kind of afraid every time we see the health inspector show up. It's like, oh my gosh, what have we got wrong? And I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Is this something new that we're doing here? Is this collaboration between the environmental health and the Chamber of Commerce working with all the merchants, Raju?
Definitely. Again, my name is Raju. Good afternoon, everybody, specifically the Mayor, Alan Nagy, and Chamber of Commerce officials, and everybody who's participating in this thing. Thank you for coming. And Richard, thank you for that question too. I cannot say whether this is a new movement, but this is something that definitely Newark Chamber of Commerce have come forward, and in our conversations, the topic has come up, and speaking with the Newark Chamber of Commerce and the City of Newark to a certain extent, we, Alameda County Environmental Health, specifically this region, has shown an interest in doing something like this. So this is basically something that has evolved from the Chamber of Commerce, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to be part of this. And we certainly consider this as a privilege to be able to speak with all of you and listen to you in such a forum. And to start with, I want to specifically thank the Chamber of Commerce, Zahir Ali, Richard, Fallon, and the rest of your team for giving us this opportunity to interact with the businesses, food businesses in Newark. Now, like Richard said, you said it right. Everybody sees us kind of as an enemy, you know. I mean, like during my last 31 years, I think there had been 2 instances where a food facility has actually said, "Come on in, welcome." You know, I mean, most of what we hear is that when we go and say that, yeah, we are from Alameda County, when we announce that we are from Alameda County Environmental Health, the first reaction is that, oh, the manager is not here, hoping that we will go away, but we won't. So that's the attitude that people have developed of us. And personally, I want to change that along with the city to see whether we can change that mindset. If you really look at it, what environmental health does and what the businesses want are one and the same thing. You know, we want to provide safe food to your customers. That's what you want, that's what we want. And by doing so, you make a living, and we actually make a living off of you. That's what happens. But we want to be able to help the businesses. And the problem is that we cannot help the businesses until we know what you want. And that's what I think this forum is all about. This is open communication. Tell us how we can help you. You know, bring up your ideas and advise us. This is what I need. This is how you can help us, and we will definitely try to do that. And of course, we cannot give you all what you want. There are laws and regulations that we have to follow, and that's our job. Say like Richard wants to sell burritos from his grocery business and say that a 3-compartment sink is too expensive, I cannot put in one. I mean, I cannot turn around and say, yeah, go ahead, Richard, you can do it. No, we cannot. I mean, there are certain basic rules and regulations that we have to follow. But that's where the problem comes in. When we ask you about, when we try to enforce these rules and regulations, sometimes it's a hardship. And my way of saying this is, if there's a hardship, come and tell us, rather than saying that, oh yeah, the health department won't help us. There are different ways that we can do this. So that's where I appreciate this opportunity. I think this probably would be maybe the first in the state where we are in a forum, and you all can be proud of that, where we come into a forum like this and open up ourselves and talk about issues that affect the businesses here. And our primary purpose, I want to clarify once again, is to help you. But at the same time, I want to assure you that there are limitations and there are laws and regulations that we need to enforce. So once again, I want to thank the city for allowing this opportunity, and I want you to be, the businesses here, the food businesses here, to be able to, talk to your inspector, Wendy. You probably, all of you know her, and I'm the supervisor for this area, so I'm available all the time. So use our resources and try to help yourself. Okay. And with that, I won't prolong this, but even when you have questions and when you have specific issues that needs our attention, we'll definitely address that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raju. It seems to me like you believe that public health and our customers' health is better served if everybody on this webinar is free to talk about health rules and kind of discuss and ask questions. And I like that. I like that a lot. And maybe even you're suggesting that an honest working relationship is going to be better and more useful than conflict. And if we're really trying to get food safety, if that's our goal, then this is how that's going to happen. I mean, it makes sense to me, and I think a lot of people here believe the same thing too. At this point right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to the presentation provided to you by Wendy, and I'm going to take notes of questions that I have. And if everyone on the webinar would do the same, that would be great. We have a lot of people on the webinar, so if we can go ahead and take notes and add it into your chat. Zahir will be monitoring the chats, and we will be asking the questions during the Q&A. This allows for everyone to get a chance. If you would like to keep it anonymous, there's options for you. You can privately message it to Zahir or to myself, or you can also, if you really want to keep it off the table so nobody knows and you're not sure, because this is an open environment where we want you to be able to ask your questions. Because I think, like Raju says, the only way we're going to get this public safety taken care of is if we can actually be honest about what we're doing. Ann Stedler has offered her phone if you want to text to her or call her. And I can give you that number. It's 510-468-7368. It's 510-468-7368. And she'll put the chat into anything. And if that works for everyone, does that work for everyone? I didn't hear any objections. I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Raju, Wendy, please begin, and let's talk about some food safety.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, most of you know who I am. If you don't, my name is Wendy Hong, and I'm the health inspector for most of the restaurants in Newark. I know a lot of you might have questions regarding COVID-19 and how to operate during these uncertain times. So I hope this presentation will help answer some of your questions. I'll keep it brief, so if you do have questions, there's plenty of time to ask it later, okay? So let's start off with some COVID-19 information. Next slide, please. Okay, so any essential business that's operating, you need your Appendix A, or is also called the Site-Specific Protection Plan. So it looks something like this. Okay, so it has a lot of information on there. So it has employee health, face covering, social distancing, proper disinfection, and employee training. So what you have to do is complete this form, review it with all your employees, and have it posted by all the entrances. So this information is very important, and your staff will need to know it because this is how you're going to operate safely to lower the chances of COVID transmission. Okay, so the most important thing right now is your health. So before you start each shift, make sure that you check or do the screening for every employee. So you want to check for these symptoms such as fever, sore throat, nausea, shortness of breath, new loss of taste or smell. So if someone is sick, don't come to work, okay? So, or go home. So if someone is sick or has been in contact with someone who might have COVID-19, you will need to contact public health and our department, and you will have to isolate or quarantine for 10 or 14 days, depending on the situation. Okay, so if there are no employees, you come to work, make sure everyone has a face mask on, okay? So a face shield is not, you can supplement with a face shield, but you must have a face mask on like this, okay? So if you guys are working, make sure that everyone is socially distanced by at least 6 feet. So I know the kitchen can be cramped sometimes, so if you need to pass by each other, that is totally fine. Okay, so for the face mask, I have offered signs and it looks like this. I'm sure you guys have seen them. If not, email me later and I'll send it to you, okay? So every business, they should have this posted so your customers will know that, you know, they can't come in if they don't have a face mask. And if they do come in, they must socially distance. Okay. So next part, proper disinfection. So any areas that customers might touch, you will need to clean and disinfect it regularly. Okay, make sure the disinfection is EPA approved to be effective against COVID-19, or you can mix your own using bleach and water. So the concentration should be 1,000 part per million. So you can mix it. It can be 1/3 cup of bleach plus 1 gallon of water. Or if you don't need that much, then you can use 4 teaspoons of bleach for 1 quart of water, okay? So a lot of you have been asking me if indoor dining is allowed. As of now, it's not allowed. So if you have questions regarding that, you can ask Raju. But for now, I don't have any answers for that. But outdoor dining is allowed, but there are requirements. So the first requirement is you must complete this form. It is called the Restaurant Operating Procedures. You have to complete this and send it back to me for review and approval. And you will have to also contact the city to make sure that if you do have outdoor patio that was not there before, you would have to get a permit. And if you want to serve alcohol, you will have to get a temporary catering license from ABC. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so these are the general items that we look for when we do a routine inspection. So most of these you should know, or all of these you should know, okay? So proper temperature control. Maintain temperatures below 41 degrees or above 135. If food is out of that temperature, I'm gonna have questions, okay? So it is only allowed if it's during active prep, active cooling, or active thawing. If it's out for more than 4 hours, then the food is probably not safe and will ask you to throw away the food. So for the next part, proper cooking. So make sure you cook the food to the proper temperatures. If it's chicken, cook it to 165. If it's beef and eggs, 145. If you're reheating something, make sure you reheat it to manufacturer's required temperatures are at least 165 and above. For cooling temperatures, you want to make sure that the food stays out of the danger zone, which is between 41 and 135. So you want to cool it down rapidly from 135 to 70 within 2 hours, and from 70 to 41 within 4 hours, okay? The next part, very, very important, and a lot of places tend to miss this step. So for sanitizing, anything that you use, you must wash, rinse, and sanitize. And for that, you need to do it after every time you use the equipment or utensil, or at least once every 4 hours. Don't forget that, especially now, since you want everything to be clean and sanitized. Okay. Number 4, employee health and hygiene. So you want to make sure that all your employees are healthy. You don't want them having COVID, the flu, or any communicable diseases. Hygiene. You want to make sure that everyone is washing their hands, especially now. You can't wash your hands too much, okay? And for food from approved sources, so you want to make sure the source of your food is safe. So you want to order food from, reputable vendors or distributors. So that way, the food that you get is safe. And then if you treat it well, it's going to be safe to consume for your customers. Okay, so the next part, closure items. I think this is what most people want to know or they're scared of. So there's 7 items listed. So these are the major things that that we close for, or that we could close for. Big thing, no water. If there's no water, you can't do any cleaning, you can't wash your hands. Same for no hot water, you can't do any cleaning. So that's automatic closure right there. Unless you can correct the problem while I'm still there, then I can either let you operate with a conditional pass, or if it's a minor like temperature issue, then I can let you operate. Okay, next item. If there's no electricity, with the rolling blackouts, this might happen, okay? So you cannot operate because you're not gonna have any refrigeration, or your refrigeration is not gonna work. Your food's gonna go bad. So if you have problems regarding that, contact us. Okay, number 3, active vermin infestation. So I think this might be the violation that I close most for. So rodents, cockroaches, if they're in your facility, legally, you're not supposed to operate, okay? So if I find it while I'm there for an inspection, that's a closure right there, okay? And you cannot reopen until you get rid of the problem. Okay, number 4, foodborne illness outbreak. So if a lot of people are sick at your facility, you will have to close and disinfect and find out where the problem came from. Or with COVID, we don't require you to close, but it's best you do so you can find out who has been infected or sick, and it will give you some time to clean the facility. Okay, next item, sewage backup. So there's a sewage backup. Sewage is on the floor. You're gonna drag it around. You can't operate. So until you fix the problem, you can't reopen. Okay, number 6, fire. That's a big problem right now, not here, but in different counties. So if there's a fire, it's a big safety hazard. You don't want to operate, your equipment's not going to be working, so you will have to close. And depending on the fire department, they will either red tag you or allow you to reopen with our permission. Okay, so the last one, I forget this is a closure item sometimes, but I have closed places for no working toilet before. So if there's no working toilet in your facility, that is a closure. Okay, so that's all I have for now. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the floor for questions.
So there was one that came through on the chat, Richard, and Wendy and Raju. it was asked, are there any disinfectant test scripts?
So for the 1,000 parts per million, the normal test strips that we have measures up to 200 parts per million. So you kind of just have to like measure and guess it. So like I said, it's you can either use 1/3 cup of bleach to 1 gallon of water, or 4 teaspoons to 1 quart of water for the bleach disinfectant.
Wendy, this is Richard again. This question actually tied right into what you were speaking about. For the COVID sanitization, you spoke about the correct parts per million as far as the sanitizer. Is that the same as you use in your 3-compartment sink when you're washing dishes? Or does it need to be different because it's being consumed off those dishes?
So it's different. So the things in the kitchen, you're only required to sanitize, which is 100 part per million bleach or 200 part per million quaternary ammonia. So for COVID, you have to disinfect. So it's a higher concentration than sanitize. So it's 1,000 part per million. So it's a little bit harder to kill than, you know, the normal bacteria and viruses that you might find in the kitchen. Because these high touch surfaces, there's so many people coming in and out of your facility, you never know. So it's just better safe to use a disinfectant than a sanitizer. Does that answer your question?
It was a shared question, Wendy, so I was
Okay.
passing it to you, that's all. I understood the question, and I think you answered it correctly. I think the biggest concern would have been someone actually using the 1,000 ppm in their sanitizing sink, and then what that would cause as far as food was concerned.
So you shouldn't use that high of a concentration on your dishes because it will leave a residue, and most likely
Yes.
you will have to run it through the dishwasher or rinse it again afterwards.
I think so too. I think there's one other one that I have, and then I think there's some finally coming into the chats as well. It asks about hand sanitizer in lieu of, I believe, instead of washing hands, or actually the question was phrased, if someone came out of the restroom and washed their hands, came outside and used hand sanitizer, then made contact with food, technically is that contaminating the food with hand sanitizer?
Are they so they wash their hands and use hand sanitizers,
Yes.
and they're touching food.
Yes.
Okay,
That's the question. Is that would be contamination of food? Correct?
Raju, can you answer this,
It's
please?
kind of a common sense thing, you know, because hand sanitizers, what they do is that they evaporate on your hands. You know, when you know that when you put it, you know, it just evaporates. So it depends. I mean, like, you know, you go and touch a hand sanitizer and immediately test the food. Yeah, I mean, it's like you wash your hands and there's water on your hands and, you know, touch the food. That's a problem. But, you know, once, you know, you wave your hand twice, it's gone. You know, then if you touch the food, no, it's not a contamination. And it is not technically, the chemicals in that hand sanitizer is not technically in a high enough concentration to cause a chemical reaction for the person who is consuming it. No.
I think that answers the question, yeah. Zahir, did you want to do some of from the chat?
Sure. There was one that came through. There was a question, kind of 2-part question. First, how much is the permit for, what are the permit fees for outdoor dining? Do you guys, if Wendy and Raju, if you know that off the top of your head?
So there's no permit fees for outdoor dining
Okay,
for our
great.
department. So all you have to do is complete this form. It's the restaurant operating procedures. So complete this, send it back to me. I'll review it and approve it. So on our end, there's no fees. So you would also have to contact City of Newark to see if there's anything you have to do, like any permits you have to obtain from them. But I believe it's free as well.
Okay, that's awesome.
Just to elaborate a little bit on that, there are 3 agencies involved typically on a food facilities: Environmental Health Department and the City of Newark. I mean, depending on the city, here the City of Newark, mostly Planning Department. your planning department has to allow that space that you are going to occupy outside to be used for the function that you're using. And if alcohol is involved, yeah, ABC, you have to deal with, I mean, you have to contact ABC, and technically you have to get a permit. It's called catering permit, costs $100, I believe. So, but that's up to ABC. We don't have anything to do with that. But like Wendy explained, there is no specific permit or I mean, a special permit or permit fees associated with outdoor dining, which all, I mean, for a facility that already has a permit from Environmental Health.
Okay, so just there are a couple questions coming in about that process. So first, one question is, someone has a large sidewalk and would like to put some tables out there. Does that person need to apply for a permit? It sounds like the answer is yes.
That sounds like a yes.
They need to apply for a permit. The thing is that it's not applying for a permit. It's basically letting us know that this is what we are going to do. And we are looking at it and saying that, okay, this works with it. I mean, you know, we don't want them to put the tables and chairs in a place where it is dangerous to the you know, I mean, consuming public. And I know that there was, but the city, the department that decides that is actually the Newark City Planning Department.
Okay, so the Newark City Planning Department is the approving organization, but it's also, but our business owners will also need to notify the county environmental health department via the form that Wendy was showing us. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay, great. Hopefully, folks, that clarifies the questions there.
Zahir,
yes.
Can I just kind of clarify that another part, just because
Sure.
I have a lot of tenants that ask that question. So the city, I'm not sure about Fremont, but the city of Newark made it easier for a shopping center that has like enough walkway, sidewalk. If restaurant wanted to have a few tables right outside of their adjacent of their store, then that is okay. They don't need to get permit. But if they need to corner out a parking area, a reserved parking area, so they could have multiple, much greater space for dining, then that is a different story. If that's the case, they would need to present their design and just basically take it to the city and tell them this is the location they have been designating. They would work together with their landlord. And then from there, they would go to the city. They would need to for sure get a barricade around the tent. And they would get the tent, and then they would make sure that the city approve what they're doing, that it's okay. And that's usually the process for that bigger, if you want a bigger dining area, that's something you would have to deal with your landlord and then to work with the city. But it's pretty simple. It's not as difficult as it sounds. For those that would like to do that, that is an option. But with the health department, it's just basically a form to let Wendy know you'll be serving food outside. Am I clear on that? Is that right with the health department?
That's right.
Yeah, so with the city of Newark, if you're just putting like 1 or 2 tables right outside of your store, beside letting Wendy know, you should be okay. Now, if you want to do much more than that, you want to go to the parking lot, put in a tent, put 10 tables out, then you would need to deal with the city a little bit, let them know how you're going to secure the space with a barricade, proper barricade, and have a proper tent. Then that's the path you can take as well. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I just kind of want to clear that up for everyone.
Okay, I got one question. Simply for in-house dining, is there a possible date that we are looking into targeting that will allow indoor dining? I just want to look into this, or looking into a lot of people talking about it will not be happen until next year or 2 months later. I heard something happen, is like somebody told me about in 10 days. So I just wondering what's going on with that, and is there any type of planning right now that we are looking into, we open for, you know, in-house dining?
You know, that's the $1 million question. It comes up every day. And I wish that we could answer that. See, the problem is that as you know, we are Alameda County is in red tier now. And to move from there, there is a kind of a process they do, that there has to be X number of people not being sick, of 1,000 people on 7 days, things like that. So
Yes.
that's where it comes to, and we are nowhere near that. So 10
Okay.
days, 2 weeks, I mean, I can assure you that it's not happening. But is it
Okay.
going to take 3 months? I don't know.
Okay.
And although I wanted to act big now and say that, yeah, I would have known, but I don't know. We both, I mean,
I
none of us
understand.
really know until, because
Please.
Environmental Health is not the agency that decides that. It's actually the health officer and the governor of California. So
Okay.
we do not really have any part in that. I mean, the health officer says that, okay, from next week onwards, restaurants can open up. Then we jump up and say that, hey, let's open, and we help you do that. So, but we don't have any say in that decision, unfortunately.
Okay. Okay.
So I've mentioned to a lot of you guys, if I do hear any new information, that I will email or call you right away. So if I don't have your information, do contact me so I can let you know once I do find out.
Okay. Okay, Wendy. Thank you.
Wendy, can you go ahead and answer some question regarding the bathroom requirement as well? Because I don't think we addressed that for the restaurants and or businesses that's operating for to go versus the outdoor seating.
So if you have outdoor seating and you're serving with, plates and utensils that you can wash, you have to open up your restrooms to the customers. So let's say if you're only doing takeout, you can keep it closed and only accessible to your employees. So if you're doing outdoor dining and it's, disposable cups and things like that, you don't have to open up the restrooms to them. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
There was also a question. It reads, please explain why some foods have to be stored above others in the refrigerator units. How do I learn this protocol?
Okay, so you want to arrange it so you minimize cross-contamination. So chicken and eggs, you have to cook it to a higher temperature. So chicken eggs, you always want it at the very bottom. So beef, pork, you want it above the chicken. And then seafood and vegetables and things you don't have to cook, like your dairy and cheese, you want it on the very top. Or you can set one side for your vegetables and things that you don't have to cook on one side, and the other side you can arrange your meat according to the cooking temperatures of the food item.
Okay, great. So just to kind of, fundamentally, you want to separate by cooking temperature, and you want to, if you think of it vertically, whatever is the lowest cooking temperature required should be highest in the refrigerator.
Yes, because let's say you have chicken, you don't want your chicken on top, because if the chicken juice drops on, let's say, lettuce that you're not going to cook, if someone eat that lettuce, they're going to get salmonella.
Right.
So that's the whole point behind that.
And Wendy,
Okay.
I also, maybe I kind of got a little bit too deep into it, but it was described to me that looking at the cooking temperatures of 145 for beef, 155 maybe for pork, 165 for chicken, if the pork dripped onto the beef, at least you're cooking, you wouldn't be cooking it to a high enough temperature. The 145 wouldn't kill off the bacteria required to prevent salmonella and all those kind of things from happening. The same with the chicken. If you put beef and it dripped on a chicken, you're going to cook it at a high enough temperature that it's going to burn off everything.
Yes.
So if it's the other way around, you're not cooking it high enough, therefore there's the chance of the illness happening after that, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Wendy, with the chat, a lot of people are still a little confused about the opening because they're following the Alameda County regulation, or the California regulation, with the red tier, purple tiers, and what is allowed with 25% capacity. So that would be the default, their guidelines, right?
Okay, so last week we got into the red tier. But our county can decide to either follow that or be more strict and wait it out a bit. So our county decided to wait until October 6th to see if we're going to stay in the red tier or purple tier. I think we're still waiting it out. So public health, they're the deciding factor. They're deciding on when to reopen everything, and we're just following them, the guidelines. So
as of today, everyone in Alameda County cannot have indoor dining until you guys decide October the 6th. Am I clear?
that's what I read in the press release.
Okay, I just
So
want
we're still waiting, okay? So don't open for indoor dining yet.
Okay, got
Sal,
it.
let me correct that. It's not you guys, because I don't want the people from
Okay,
New York
got it.
throwing
You're
stones
right.
at
Public
us.
health.
Public
Sorry, yes, public health. Okay, got it. You're right.
I have a question, Wendy. For employee well check, when you check the temperature, when you check that they're okay to work or not okay to work, is there any specific form that you're looking for, or just a regular piece of paper saying we checked everybody? How do you monitor that when you come into the restaurant or any business?
So there's no form. You can do it verbally, but just make sure that they either check themselves at home or you can do it for them. So a lot of fast food restaurants, I see they do have like forms. They'll put, the employee, and they'll check their temperatures and they'll record that. But that's not required. So just make sure that you guys all check for the symptoms, either at home or when you get to work.
Sure.
So is recording a requirement, or is it's just like some does only for their needs? So the recording the temperature of the employees, is that a requirement, or is it like we do it only for ourselves?
It's not a requirement. You just have to make sure that, they don't have a fever. So they can tell you before their shift, they don't have a fever, they don't have a cough, they're perfectly fine. Or you can pull them aside every day and ask them.
Okay, thank you.
So basically just have some sort of process.
Yeah.
Got it.
So this is our chance for our last final couple questions, and we're going to move on to a very special guest. Did anybody else have a question? No? Wow, you guys are good. Wendy and Raju, you must have answered every question that anybody could imagine. Thank you so much, Wendy and Raju. We really, really appreciate you both coming here and talking with us informally. You began the dialogue that I think is going to make a difference in the future, create a working relationship. I can see that we had some actual communication together today with everybody speaking freely, asking questions, getting answers. And I think that it's super important, because the community that we're protecting right now, and that's your main job, and it's also our job. The community is what we're trying to protect. And without our community, I don't have a business. I mean, I'm literally without a business without my community. So this partnership to me means so much. So I want to thank you for opening up this new chapter and building this relationship. I think food safety is both a mutual understanding that we should both understand and we can do much better. And I think it's the core of our mission of service. It's the core of the mission for the chamber. I know that, to work with the business and community. Can we all give a wave for Wendy and Raju to tell them thank you? Thank you, Wendy and Raju.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy.
Bye.
Thank you, Raju.
Thank you so much. Will you both, Wendy and Raju, will you please stay on for just a minute for a special guest from our mayor, Mr. Al Nagy?
Can I make a comment before that, please?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Zahan.
According to what you're saying, that we need to protect our community. Also, something that we need to keep in mind, all the restaurant operators or the businesses that are vulnerable to getting our employees or customers sick. We're trying to build the safety and security in our customers, that coming out and eating at the restaurant is very, very important. So it doesn't really matter if somebody gets sick at my restaurant or somebody else's restaurant. If somebody gets sick, you're losing the faith coming on eating out. So it's very, very important what Wendy and Raju has covered, that we follow through with that at all to make sure that we protect our community and our businesses.
I think, Zohan, you're 100% right. And that's that customer confidence. And you're absolutely right that someone else could make everybody scared because they start hearing situations that happen at one restaurant and they assume that all restaurants are being wrong, and it could hurt all of us. So I think working together to make sure we follow and actually reach out to each other and help each other out. I think that's super important. I can't agree with you more. Thank you. Al Nagy, I'm so pleased to have you join our webinar. I know that there's so many things that you and the council have been doing, and I think that there's something that's super important that I'd like you to share if you don't mind. I think Thursday, something very important was passed. Would you mind sharing a little bit of that information with us?
No, not at all, Richard. And first of all, I want to thank you and those who brought the environmental health webinars to the Newark food businesses. You know, Raju and Wendy at the county and chamber volunteers, Zahir, Richard, and Fallon. This really is a great collaboration. And to our business people, I want to thank them for attending and finding ways to make their businesses stronger and better in these tough times. You know, your strength and success is very important to me and the city. And you're talking about a subject that I really enjoy, and that's food. So for that reason, I believe a strong chamber is very important to the city of Newark. And we know that your situation is tough during the pandemic. And all of us on the city council and city staff are concerned for you. The city has taken 2 actions, which Richard referred to, in the last week to support small businesses. The first is the small business grants. It's $5,000 to 40 Newark businesses. And one of the criteria is less than 25 employees. You have a workforce of less than 25. You have a storefront, and that they've been in business more than a year. And then the second part of that is the residential rental assistance grant program, which provides $2,500 for families for the one-time rental assistance. And this money comes from the Newark portion of the Federal CARES Act. It's money we could have spent within the city, but we believe that there is a broader mission in the face of the pandemic. The city council voted to help small businesses and families, and the applications for applying for these grants will be out later this week. The city also approved the Newark e-gift card, and that's a quick way to increase cash at businesses, give each of you an online marketing presence, and to encourage local spending. Please use this and market it to boost your sales. You know, one of our council members ends each meeting of our council with the thought, shop Newark, and e-business cards or e-cards. The gift cards are just another way of doing that. The email you get after this meeting will include a press release on the grants and the sign-up information for the Newark e-gift card. And we hope you stay involved with the Newark Chamber and with the city during the pandemic and beyond. We need to be in contact and sharing resources. I want to thank you for all that you're doing to keep your businesses and your employees safe in our business and in your community. Thank you very much. Thank you, Richard.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor. Really appreciate you and the City Council at taking these actions, direct actions that help real people and real businesses. And the point made that this could have been spent somehow within the city bureaucracy, but instead, it was a possibility. You had discretion, and yet a choice was made to get this out there to the people that need it. This could keep families in homes and businesses open, and that's exactly what our understanding of the Newark City and the way it acts is that those are the actions it's always going to take in the best benefit of the community. Just a little bit of information on the e-gift cards. If you have questions, please reach out to Fallon Tran, who so many of you know, or to Miss Ann Stetler, who many of you also know, our Economic Development Department officer. There is the website is expected to go live on 3rd October, and there was some sign-up information emailed out on the Friday the 25th, but please be in touch. The Chamber can resend information, resend emails, help you get in touch please don't hesitate to reach out to anybody in the chamber, and we will make sure to get you connected so that you can get these valuable resources as needed. Yeah, I can see Sohan. I think you had a question.
Yes, I do. Mr. Mayor, that's commendable what you have and the city council has put together. The grant for $500 or $5,000 and $2,500 for the family. Who has the information? What qualifies? What business qualifies for that? And what family qualifies for that? Who has that information?
The city does, and the applications will contain the qualifying issues that will have to be satisfied for it. But they're pretty limited. You know, one of the big things is we don't increase a lot of bureaucracy on this. We want to get the money to the hands of the people who can use it. And we know that our small businesses are hurting. And so we want to eliminate as much of the red tape as we can. So it's not going to be a difficult process to apply for it. But there is only 40 grants available at $5,000 each. So it's important to do it right away.
How are we advertising or reaching out to those businesses that are affected? They may not even know that this is available.
Yeah, I think Anne's available. She might be able to answer that.
Part of that certainly, Sohan, are events like this, community events, and of course there will be, I believe there will be a link off of the COVID response portion of the city website. But Anne, I'm sure you know more. Or Fallon, you had wanted to address something, I believe?
Yeah,
Yes, I unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Anne. Welcome.
Can't see you though.
Okay.
There she is.
There she is, dear lady. Oops. And your connection is having a major problem. There's a tremendous amount of lag. We cannot comprehend you, ma'am.
Everyone at this will include the press. Okay. Can you hear? Enter in chat.
We can hear you now. I think when the camera moved, yep, great.
Okay, I will send everyone on this call the press release on the actions the City Council has taken and the sign-up information on the e-gift cards. So watch for that in your email, the same email where you received the link for today's meeting. And to answer your question, Sohan, we will get you information on exactly who's included. And the way we're reaching out to people is a combination of social media, email to people based on their business license email, and letters to people who do not give us an email with business license. Meanwhile, we want all of you to make sure people you know are aware of it too. That's one reason we're broadcasting it in this meeting. Does that answer your question, Sohan, and any other questions?
Yeah, I do. There's just a little follow-up question on that, Anne. Is when I understand a grant, that means that loan is forgivable, or is that a
not a loan, it's a grant.
return? You have to return that.
Sohan, it is a grant. It is not a loan. It is a grant that is totally given without any repayment expected.
Wonderful, thank you.
Welcome.
And Zahir, and everyone, regarding the e-gift, we will gonna host another webinar with very detailed instruction, how to sign up, how to use it, how to benefit from it, everything. So just please look out for an email that you got from today webinar. We are setting that up. I think it's October the 6th, but I'm not sure yet. We're still working on the detail. So we will show everyone how to use it and how to benefit from it. How does it impact your business? So all of those questions will be addressed on that webinar. So today was very much just an introductory to let everyone know, and main focus is about health, environmental health. This is all. And we know everybody's time is very valuable and you have to take your time for an hour to join us today. So we want to keep it simple and focus on what's at hand right now. And then look out for the email. We'll send everybody email on that. So please spend another day with us and we'll be able to share all that detail with you. Okay?
Right.
That's
Thank you, Fallon. Thank you so much, Raju, Wendy, and of course, Mayor Nagy. Thank you, Richard, for hosting the Q&A. Just before we finish up here in the last couple minutes, as Fallon mentioned, we have a variety of upcoming webinars. We have some that we've put the mark on the calendar for. 13 October, a healthcare webinar. We may have Kaiser and Washington joining us. We're looking at 20 October, we're working with the local law enforcement to have a discussion between business and law enforcement to continue to foster the partnership there. Moving forward, Mike Cohen, who already had discussed federal loan programs and business readiness for grants, so that anyone who attended that, if you've taken Mike's advice and have your books in order, you will have what you need to go forward with these grants. So please, take this information. It's actionable that we're providing in these webinars. Mike is, we've invited Mike to come back with the anticipation of further legislation by 27 October, or just a discussion of what the status of these different programs is. Then moving into November, we're going to look at what the state of real estate is in the Bay Area. There's so much going on. We're going to have a panel of real estate professionals in the local area to discuss that. And then before Thanksgiving, we'll have a special event highlighting Newark charities and social programs. Charities right now are doing so much to help our communities. They have been called on to do a tremendous amount and are keeping families fed and helping people survive rough times. So we'll be looking to highlight them. And then near the first week of December, we'll have an end of the year cultural event, and then we'll start the new year again after that. There are likely to be some drop-in events, such as the webinar on the eGift program. And so it would be great if you could keep your eye on your email, the Newark Chamber of Commerce website as well, for information about those. Thank you all so very much for attending today. Thank you again to our hosts, to our guests. You guys make this possible, and please have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.